So we have got one equation that F1 d1 is equal to F2 d2, where d1 and d2 are the arms, F1 and F2 are the forces. So load arm into load is equal to effort arm into effort. Here the load arm is d1, means suppose if F1 is the load we are applied, so it acts on the distance of d1 of the body. That's why it is said to be the length of the load. That's why it is said to be load arm d1 into load F1 is equal to effort arm. Because of the force F1 and the distance d1, this d2 length is disturbed. The length of the d2 of the body is disturbed. Maybe it is moved translationally or rotationally. That's why it is said to be effort arm d2 into the effort length is, or effort force is, F2. So previously we got the equation F1 by F2 is equal to d2 by d1. This is equal to mechanical advantage but if we see the mechanical advantage formula, F1 by F2 ratio is inversely proportional to the d1 and d2. So if d2 is greater than d1, the machine has greater mechanical advantage. Greater mechanical advantage. But if d1 is greater than d2, its mechanical advantage is very less. So low mechanical advantage. This mechanical advantage concept is used to experience the how much effort that a body can withstand whenever it is carrying greater loads. Suppose if you see the crane, this crane has many windings of metal. Each has each area of cross section in finite dimensions. How much load it can bear without any braking stress is applied. So this concept should be done by the observation of mechanical advantage. So mechanical advantage is such a ratio of the force to the distance traveled by the body which are inversely proportional to each other, which gives the quality of the material that was used in manufacturing a machine. The next concept we are discussing is work done by a torque or work done by a moment of force. We know that work is equal to force into displacement, but torque is force into perpendicular displacement. We are comparing the work with torque. For that purpose, we should consider the two forces or any one force which is perpendicular to any plane propagation. Let us say this plane is x dash y dash plane. Assume one force which is perpendicular to any propagation. Let us say the force is F1. Initially, the body is at P1 from O. O to P1 is R1. So OP is position vector. OP1 is equal to R1 bar. After some time t or t1, the body was shifted from position P1 to position P2 by making an angle alpha with the horizontal component and phi 1 with the vertical component. So we can say that phi 1 plus alpha 1 is equal to 90 degrees. Whenever the body was shifted to P1 to P2, so the displacement done by the P2 is, let us say, ds1, because it is a very small displacement. The total displacement, let us say, S, but the displacement between the positions P1 and P2 is ds1. So the displacement between P1 and P2 is equal to ds1. But if you consider this C P2 P1 is a sector of the circle, this ds1 we can write as r1 into d theta. But in a sector C P2 P1, ds1 is equal to r1 d theta. So work done is equal to F1 S1, or this one written as F1 into ds1. Therefore it is written as F1 into ds1 is r1 d theta. The difference in the theta is either we should write in form of phi or we should write in the form of alpha. So it is F1 r1 sin alpha or F1 r1 cos phi. So in case of alpha is the propagation angle, we can write this one as F1 r1 cross F1. So work done dW is equal to this F1 and R1 is also called torque. If the displacement angle or the angular displacement is very small, we can write this one as d theta. We can mention the angle in terms of cos or in terms of sin, no problem. Either it is defined as horizontal component or vertical component. Whether it is in the horizontal line, we can say it as cos terms. Whether it is a perpendicular line, we can say it as in the sin terms. So for total work, integral dW is equal to integral tau d theta. Therefore W is equal to tau theta. So the next concept is relation between the power and torque. We know that power is equal to rate of work done. Therefore, power is equal to rate of work done, that is nothing but dW by dt, work done by time. From the previous expression, we can write W is equal to tau d theta. Therefore, P is equal to tau into d theta by dt. This d theta by dt is nothing but the angular velocity. Therefore, P is equal to tau omega. So power is equal to torque into angular velocity. The next concept is angular momentum. So what is the meaning of angular momentum? It is related to the linear momentum initially. We know that linear momentum P is equal to mass into velocity, nothing but mv. This is the momentum associated by a body or of a body when it is moving from point to point in a straight line motion. But in case of rotational motion, the momentum experienced by a particle about its point of rotation or position of rotation is called angular momentum. The momentum or the net momentum of a body with respect to the point of rotation is called angular momentum. So angular momentum is equal to L is equal to linear momentum into perpendicular distance. If you see the diagram, the body is rotating about a fixed point with momentum mv with respect to the position coordinate r, nothing but the position vector. Its perpendicular distance from the momentum is r sine theta, like this. So body is in the circular motion, momentum always upwards, it is maintaining a perpendicular distance from the radius. This is called angular momentum. So linear momentum is equal to perpendicular distance is called angular momentum. Linear momentum is mv and perpendicular distance is r sine theta. If you remove the sine theta and if you wrote in case of vector form, it was written as r bar cross p bar. So we can write L is equal to mvr, where v is equal to linear velocity, but v is equal to r omega. That means linear velocity is equal to position vector into angular velocity. Now I am substituting this v value in the equation of L. Therefore m into r omega into r, therefore it is mr square omega also. So the first expression in vector form is r bar cross p bar, second expression is mvr, third expression is mr square omega. This mr square is nothing but moment of inertia. Moment of inertia. Therefore it is represented by a symbol capital I. Therefore L is also called I omega. Now we have derived the three different expressions for angular momentum of the body. One is in vector form, another one associated with the linear velocity, third one which is associated with the moment of inertia. So the SI unit of angular momentum is the expression is L is equal to P into R. For momentum it is kg meter per second into where R is equal to meter. So kg into meter square per second. So we can write this one as joule second also. Why? Because 1 joule is equal to m into L square into t power minus 2. So here it is t power minus 1 is already there. We have divided with t power minus 1 again and multiplied with t power minus 1. So it is joule per second. In CGS system, egg second. So the dimensional formula of the angular momentum, square brackets L is equal to, the actual formula is mvr. The symbol of the mass in dimensions is capital M, velocity L by t, radius L. Therefore it is m L square t power minus 1. So this can be written as m L square t power minus 2 into t. This m L square t power minus 2 represents the unit of joule, time represents the second, that's why it will be written as joule second also, because it is representing the dimensional formula of work done. Like this we can prove the dimensional formula with respect to its units. The next concept is relationship between angular momentum to torque. So we should define the relationship between torque to the angular momentum. So for that purpose, let us take a reference frame which is able to rotate about a fixed point, and the body is simply sliding like this and rotating with respect to the perpendicular coordinates. In this case, if we applied the Newton's second law of motion, F is equal to dP by dt, where dP is rate of change in momentum. Therefore, m1 v1 minus m2 v2 by t. We know that v is equal to r omega and v2 is equal to r2 omega 2. Therefore, F is equal to m1 r1 omega 2 minus m1 r1 omega 1 whole divided by t. We know the torque is equal to r into F. Therefore, torque is equal to position vector into F bar. That's why I am multiplying with r bar on both sides of the equation. Therefore, r bar cross F bar is equal to m1 r1 square omega 2 minus m1 r1 square omega 1 whole divided by t. This is equal to tau. Previously, we have seen this expression m r square omega is nothing but the I omega. That's why it is I omega 2 minus I omega 1 by t. I omega 2 is nothing but L2, nothing but the second angular momentum, minus I omega 1 is initial angular momentum L1 by t is equal to tau. For small change in the angular momentums, we can write L2 minus L1 as dl also. So therefore, tau is equal to dl by dt for small changes. So what we can define with this relationship? Torque is defined as rate of change in angular momentum. Rate of change in angular momentum. The next concept is relationship between torque and angular acceleration. We have seen that tau is equal to dl by dt. We know that L is equal to mvr. Now I am substituting L is equal to mvr in this differential form of the equation. So substituting L is equal to mvr. Therefore, tau is equal to d by dt of mvr. We know that V is equal to r omega. If I substitute this value in the previous equation, tau is equal to d by dt of mr into r omega, nothing but mr square omega. So we can write this one as mr square into d omega by dt. This mr square is nothing but moment of inertia I. D omega by dt is nothing but rate of change in angular velocity, nothing but angular acceleration represented by alpha. So torque is equal to moment of inertia into angular acceleration. The next point we will discuss in this lesson is continuous mass distribution of rigid bodies. Mass distribution. of rigid bodies. So, if a rigid body of finite dimensions is there, it has n number of masses which are inside the body. The total mass of the body is capital M, total mass. But this total mass is nothing but the sum of all point masses, M1, M2 and so on up to Mn. We know this basic point from the beginning, we are discussing it. But if you want to find out the distribution of mass in a rigid body, the method is integration method we should follow. What we can understand, RCM is equal to M1R1 plus M2R2 and so on, MnRn by M1 plus M2 and so on, Mn. This is the equation for the position vector of the center of mass in a rigid body. So we can say that this whole is simply capital M according to the given equation. That's why we can write 1 by capital M into M1R1 plus M2 R2 and so on, Mn Rn. Integration is almost like a summation of all individual values. So we can write this whole equation like this: 1 by M into integral dm1 or dm. Not only dm, R1, R2 and Rn is also present. So we can write dm Ri, where dm is from 0 to m. Suppose if you want to find out the position of the center of mass or the distribution of the mass along the x-axis, it will be written like this: xcm is equal to 1 by capital M into dm xi, where I is equal to 1 to n. It is, if it is along the y-axis, ycm is equal to 1 by m into integral dm y. If it is along z-axis, zcm is equal to 1 by capital M into integral dm z. What we can understand from this, not only dm xi, dm yi, dm zi, this also can be written as 1 by m into integral dx. This is 1 by m into integral dy, and this is 1 by m into integral dz. So total mass is capital M, integral dz is sum of the all masses in the given prescribed direction. Such like that, we can think about the continuous mass distribution in a rigid body. So the continuous mass distribution means it is maintaining the mass distribution in regular intervals. If any physical quantity was maintained at regular intervals, we can integrate from 0 to the last value. So that is called as continuous mass distribution. Now we are discussing a numerical which is based on the concept of distribution of mass and change in the position of center of mass. The content of the problem is the coordinates of the center of mass of a system which is 3 masses of 1 kg, 2 kg and 3 kg are located at 1, 1, 1, where should a fourth mass 4 kg be placed so that the center of mass is shifted to 0, 0, 0. Here the initial center of mass is 1, 1, 1. It is simply xcm, ycm, zcm. So each coordinate represents each axis. So the general formula of the xcm is equal to m1x1 plus m2x2. Here 3 coordinates are there. That's why m3 x3 also added by m1 plus m2 plus m3. So where masses are 1, 2, 3. So we can write m1 is equal to 1 kg, m2 is equal to 2 kg and m3 is equal to 3 kg. Now I am substituting this m1, m2, m3 values in this formula. So therefore 1 into the x1 coordinate is 1. So we can write x1, x2, x3 means we should find out the position. That's why need not to substitute the xy values. So we should write x1 only. m2 is 2 into x2 plus m3 is 3 into x3 whole divided by 1 plus 2 plus 3, that is equal to 1 because xcm is equal to 1. So therefore x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 by 6 is equal to 1. Cross multiplied, then we will get x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 is equal to 6 into 1, 6. This is one equation. Now we should find out the fourth mass 4 kg. It is to be placed at one position. When the fourth mass is placed at one position, then the center of mass shifts to 0, 0, 0. Then what we can understand? Again, xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 plus m4 x4 by m1 plus m2 plus m3 plus m4. So m1 is 1 x1, m2 is 2 x2, m3 is 3 x3, m4 is 4 x4 whole divided by 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6 plus 4, 10 is equal to xcm. So this equation is x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 plus 4x4 is equal to 10 because xcm initial coordinate is 1 only. We know that x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 is equal to 6. Therefore 6 plus 4x4 is equal to 10. So 4x4 is equal to 4. Therefore x4 is also 1. So if the center of mass is not changing, then x4 is also 1. But in the problem he is saying the center of mass was shifted, means changed. Change it to 0, 0, 0. Now we are substituting this 0 in the place of xcm, then we will do the remaining calculation. So therefore xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 plus m4 x4 whole divided by m1 plus m2 plus m3 plus m4. xcm is 0 because we are finding the new coordinates. So that's why 0 is equal to 1 into x1 plus 2 into x2 plus 3 into x3 plus 4 into x4 whole divided by m1 1 kg, m2 2 kgs, m3 3 kgs, m4 4 kgs. Whatever it is, this whole will become 10. 10 into 0 is 0. So 0 is equal to x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 plus 4x4. This x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 is equal to 6. So therefore 6 plus 4x4 is equal to 0. So from this, x4 is equal to 0 minus 6 by 4. So therefore x4 is equal to minus 6 by 4 minus 3 by 2. So the x coordinate of the fourth mass is minus 3 by 2. Similarly, y coordinate is also minus 3 by 2 and z coordinate is also minus 3 by 2. So the point should be shifted to minus 3 by 2, comma minus 3 by 2, comma minus 3 by 2. So this should be the point, this should be the location of the fourth mass to change the center of mass to 0, 0, 0. The next concept is rotatory motion. The introduction of this rotatory motion was given while we have started this chapter, but in detail we should discuss about the physical quantities that are associated with the rotatory motion here. So we know that in rotatory motion, all particles will move around a fixed axis or fixed point. So if the particles are united to move along or around a fixed point, then it is called rotatory motion of the rigid body. Rigid bodies means which doesn't deform easily by the application of a small amount of forces. If you want to deform these type of rigid bodies, huge amount of force to be required. Deformation means maybe change in length, change in shape, change in structure, change in volume, change in area, means any physical dimension to be changed. But some bodies like circular objects, if one dimension is changed, automatically there will be a change occurred in the second dimension also. So rigid bodies won't deform easily. Those type of bodies are called rigid bodies. These rigid bodies will execute the rotatory motion, means the particles or the point masses in the center, in the rotatory body or in the rigid body, they will all move around a fixed point. The locus of all these point masses is called axis of rotation, like this. All are united. Suppose if this is the direction of rotation, let me draw the arrow marks. Locus means all these are rotating about a fixed point. So we can assume like this. So this is rotatory axis. Around it, all particles are moving. The examples: motion of planets around the sun, motion of, second example, motion of electrons around the nucleus, spinning top, so these all are the examples of rotatory motion. In this rotatory motion, the body will execute the angular displacement, angular velocity, angular acceleration, position vector. These four are the important kinematics of a rotating body. These are similar to the these are similar to the linear kinematics of a moving body, where the linear kinematics represents the displacement of the body, speed of the velocity of the body, acceleration of the body, force applied on the body, these are all the linear kinematics because the body is moving in a straight line, horizontal. But in case of rotating, it is moving around a fixed point. For that case, we should say the rotational kinematics in this case. So what are those rotational kinematics? We will discuss one by one. In case of rotatory motion, all paths are not circular. When a body is rotating along or around a circumference of the circle, then it is called circular motion. If a body is rotating around the circumference of a circle, then it is called circular motion. When a body is executing the circular motion, for every circle there is a center. So, if this is the body which is in the circular motion, along this circumference, if this body is rotating, for every circle there is a center called origin. Such like for this rotating body, this center is called center of rotation. For the circle, it is said to be origin, but for the body which is moving around the circumference, it is called center of rotation. So draw a perpendicular line through the center of rotation. So this is called axis of rotation. If body is precessing like a spinning top, this is axis. But same body, for one given time, it will be at one position. For the next interval of time, it will be in another position if it is moving on the circular path. So, it will be like this. Initially, the body is at this position. Let us say this position is A. And this position is B. After the time T, the body was moved to B. The time taken is T. This is T is equal to 0. Position A is at t is equal to 0, position B is at a time t is equal to t seconds. These both are under the reference of the origin of the circular path. So, from here I should draw a radius vector and here also I should draw a radius vector. These two are the two positions of a body which is executing the circular motion with respect to the origin. Let us say the origin is O. At any time interval, OA is equal to OB. If suppose the time was taken to some t dash, again the body will move to C at t dash. It is equal to OC. Because the body won't come out of the radius of the circular path. That's why OA, OB, OC all are equal to R, nothing but the radius. In terms of circle, it is said to be radius, but in terms of a rotating body along the circumference of the circle, it is said to be position vector. Now I am drawing a line which is passing parallel from one end of the circle to the another end of the circle. With respect to this parallel line which is passing through the origin from one end to the another end, these all particular positions of the body are at different angles. That means here it is making one angle with respect to A. When it is jumped to the B, not traveled to the B, it is making another angle. When it is traveled to C with another angle, travel to, let us suppose, D, another angle. That means if the rotating body along the circular path, when it is traveling from one position to another position with respect to time, the changed physical quantity is angle. That's why we can say that this body is executing angular displacement. So change in angle with respect to time. This angular displacement is similar to the linear displacement. Their positions are changing. Here angle is changing. So it is said to be angular displacement. Now we will discuss the equation parts which are related to the displacement, velocity, acceleration. So what is angular displacement of a rotating body? It is defined as the angle through which the radius vector representing the position of a particle rotates is called angular displacement. That means this is the radius vector which is including the different points or positions of a body along the circumference of the circle. B, A. So this OA or OB is called radius vector. So this radius vector is representing the position of a particle. One position is at A, another position is at B. So what is the angle made by these two radius vectors? Is called angular displacement. So that's why it is called the angle through which the radius vector representing the positions of a particle which is under the rotation is called radius vector and simply angular displacement. So from this diagram we can write angle AOB is equal to theta. If it is a small displacement, we can write it as d theta. So angle AOB is equal to d theta. So to find out the total angle we can integrate. Displacement was over. Rate of change in displacement is called velocity. So angular displacement, rate of change of angular displacement is called angular velocity. So the rate of change in angular displacement is called angular velocity. The symbol of the angular velocity is omega. It is equal to angular displacement by time. Therefore, it is theta by t. Suppose if the body executed the one complete rotation, then this theta will become 2 pi. One complete rotation, theta is equal to 2 pi. Therefore, omega will become 2 pi by t. For small displacement under the small time intervals, so for small displacement, omega will become d theta by dt. For one complete rotation, theta is equal to 2 pi. Therefore, omega will become 2 pi by t. We know that. For n rotations, it will be 2 pi n by t. Because 2 pi by t into n. So, like this, we can define the angular velocity also. Now, I am indicating with inverted commas, where angular velocity is nothing but the rate of change in angular displacement. So, angular velocity omega is equal to d theta by dt for small displacements. The SI unit is the SI unit of angular velocity is, for angle the SI unit is radian, For time it is second, that's why it is radian per second. This is the symbol. This is the short form of radian per second. It is also called as or represented as radian second inverse. This is the SI unit of angular velocity of a rotating body. If you want to see its dimensional formula, m power 0, L power 0, T power minus 1. So because it is completely, angle is unitless. So we can write m power 0, L power 0, T power minus 1 is the correct dimensional formula for the angular velocity. This angular velocity is different for different objects. Suppose if you take any wall clock. In wall clock, we can see seconds hand, minutes hand. Angular velocity for the second hand is different, minutes hand is different. So what are those values? So it will be like this. Angular velocity of the seconds hand. Two pi by 60 radians per second. So the second hand should rotate 60 rotations, 60 oscillations, 60 vibrations per to represent 1 second. Such like angular velocity of the minute hand is 2 pi by 60 into 60 radian per second. Next, the angular velocity of the 1 hour time or angular velocity of the whole wall clock system that is equal to 2 pi by, so in wall clock it is some 12 angular displacements are there. That's why we should write 12 into 60 into 60 radians per second. For earth it takes 24 hours. For wall clock it is 12 hours to change the morning time to evening or evening to morning change. So the fourth one, angular velocity of the earth is equal to 2 pi by, for earth it takes 24 hours to take the complete rotation. That's why 24 into 60 into 60 radian per second. So such like we can define the angular velocities of the different bodies. So this is the numerical which is based on the concept of angular velocities and displacements. The content is find the average angular velocity of the spinning motion of the earth. Earth takes 24 hours to complete one complete rotation. So time period of earth is 24 hours. So angular velocity is equal to angular displacement by time. So the angular displacement, here it is average angular, means for one complete rotation the formula omega is equal to 2 pi n by t, 2 pi into 1 by t. Here the time is 24 hours, but we should not substitute the 24 hours in the formula. So according to the SI system of units, time should be converted into seconds. That's why 24 hours is equal to 24 into 60 minutes into 60 seconds. Each hour is 3600 seconds. Therefore, 24 into 3600 seconds, it is 86,400 seconds. So now I am substituting 2 pi by 86,400 seconds. This 2 in 86,400 it will cancel by 43,200. Therefore, average angular velocity is equal to pi by 43,200 radians per second. This is the average angular velocity of the spinning rotation of Earth. So the next concept is relationship between the linear velocity and angular velocity. So, in this concept, we should go back to the angular motion or rotatory motion of the bodies. Let us suppose the body is moving along the circumference of the circle. Initially, it is at a position A. Next, it is at the position B. Next, it is at the position C. So, like this, we can draw. From A to C, there is angular displacement d theta. So, if the t is very small, the time interval is very small, angular velocity is equal to theta by t. So, for small dimensions, omega is equal to d theta by dt. If t tends to 0, d theta by dt will become delta theta by delta t also. So, omega is equal to limit t tends to 0 delta theta by delta t. We know this. Now, see this arc BC. So, what is the angular displacement? The position, let us say the initial position of the body is at B, final position of the body is at C. Therefore, it is limit t tends to 0 BC by delta t. So, this BC is displacement of the body. So, here this displacement is linear displacement, that is why we can write V. It is nothing but the linear velocity. So, V is equal to limit t tends to 0 to BC by delta t. From this triangle, this BC is a arc of a sector, is equal to arc into radius. How much angle is subtended by this arc? Theta. Radius is r. Therefore, BC is equal to r into d theta. Now, I am substituting this BC value in this equation. So, therefore, V is equal to BC by delta t. So, r into d theta by dt is equal to V. And here we can write d theta by dt is omega. So, V is equal to r omega. Linear velocity is equal to radius into angular velocity. So in vector form, we can written this one as V bar is equal to omega bar cross R bar. This is the relationship between linear velocity and angular velocity. This is one of the numerical which is based on the concept of linear velocity to the angular velocity. So what is the linear velocity of a person at the equator of the earth due to its spinning motion, where RE, nothing but the radius of earth, is 6,400 kilometers. So linear velocity V is equal to R omega. Now we should find out omega. At equator, we should find out the angular velocity due to its spinning motion of earth. Therefore, it is 2 pi n by t. So therefore, 2 pi into 1 by 86,400 seconds. 286,000, 43,200 times it will cancel. Therefore, omega is equal to pi by 43,200 seconds, radians per second. Now we should substitute this omega value in the given equation, nothing but V is equal to R omega. Therefore, linear velocity V is equal to radius of earth is 6,400 kilometers into 10 cube into omega is pi by 43,200 radians per second. So we can write 2 zeros and 2 zeros get cancelled. So 64,000 by 432 into pi radian per second. So if we do the calculation, so 64,000 into 3.14 by 432 radians per second. If we do the calculation by substituting all the values, we will get 0.4655 kilometers per second. This is equal to linear velocity. So V is equal to 0.4655 kilometers per second. The next kinematics is angular acceleration. Angular acceleration is defined as rate of change in angular velocity. The rate of change in angular velocity. So its symbol is alpha. Just look after to the linear velocity case. In case of linear acceleration, the formula is v minus u by t, final velocity minus initial velocity by time. Here also, if a body is executing the circular motion, at the initial stages it has some angular velocity, let us suppose it is omega naught. While it is executing circular motion, for every phase, maybe for every quarter, its velocity increases and finally it reaches the velocity called omega. The time taken to change in this angular velocity in this circumference of the circle is t. Therefore, final angular velocity minus initial angular velocity by time. Therefore, alpha is equal to, the symbol for the final angular velocity is omega. minus the symbol of initial angular velocity is omega naught whole divided by time. So in differentiation mode, we can write alpha is equal to d omega by dt also. So if you want to find out the relationship between the angular accelerations to the velocity, we know that v is equal to r omega on differentiating each side on both sides with respect to time. So we can write dv by dt is equal to d by dt of r omega. We know that dv by dt is linear acceleration, therefore it is a into r into d omega by dt. So we can write this d omega by dt is alpha, nothing but the angular acceleration. Therefore a is equal to r into alpha. So if a bar is acceleration, therefore it is written as r bar cross alpha bar. So linear acceleration is equal to radius vector into angular acceleration. So like this we can define the angular acceleration of the body. This is one of the numerical which is based on the concept of angular displacements and angular accelerations. The concept of the problem is the angular displacement of the particle is given by theta is equal to t cube plus t square plus t plus 1 in a form of equation. Find its angular velocity and find angular acceleration at a t is equal to 2 seconds. So therefore theta is equal to t cube plus t square plus t plus 1. So first bit, angular velocity omega is equal to d theta by dt. That means we should differentiate the equation theta with respect to time. Therefore omega is equal to d by dt of t cube plus t square plus t plus 1. So differentiation of x power n into x power n minus 1. Therefore the answer is 3t square plus 2t plus 1. Because d by dx of x power n is equal to n into x power n minus 1. So omega we got 3t square plus 2t plus 1. The second bit is angular acceleration. Alpha is equal to d omega by dt. Therefore d by dt of the omega value is 3t square plus 2t plus 1. Therefore alpha is equal to 2 into 3t, 6t plus 2. So again here also d by dx of x power n is equal to n into x power n minus 1. Now we should substitute t is equal to 2 seconds to find the angular velocity and angular accelerations. So angular velocity omega is equal to 3t square plus 2t plus 1. Now we should find out the velocity at t is equal to 2 seconds. So velocity, angular velocity at t is equal to 2 seconds is equal to 3 into 2 square plus 2 into 2 seconds plus 1. So it is 3 into 4 plus 4 plus 1. 12 plus 4, 16. 16 plus 1, 17 radians per second. That is equal to omega at t is equal to 2 seconds. Now we should find out the angular acceleration at t is equal to 2 seconds. Therefore, angular acceleration is equal to alpha is equal to 60 plus 2. Therefore, alpha at t is equal to 2 seconds is equal to 6 into 2 plus 2. So 6 2s are 12. 12 plus 2, 14 radian per second square. So, angular acceleration is defined as alpha is equal to d omega by dt. So, alpha is equal to d by dt of omega can be written as d theta by dt. So, it is nothing but double differentiation of angular displacement. Double differentiation of angular displacements. So, alpha can be written as d square theta by dt square also. Suppose the SI unit of acceleration is, so SI unit of alpha is radian per second square, or it is also written as radian second power minus 2. Where radian is the SI unit of angle, second square is the SI unit of time square. But the dimensional formula of alpha is m power 0, L power 0, T power minus 2. So, let me find out the d omega by dt, where d omega by dt, omega is equal to m power 0, L power 0, T power minus 1, and time here it is t. This t will go up, so it will become m power 0, L power 0, T power minus 2. So, this was proved under the basis of dimensional method. So, these are the informations or basics about the angular accelerations. Next, we will discuss about the rotational kinematics, which are similar to the linear kinematics. The next concept is equations of rotational kinematics. These all are similar to linear kinematics. If you see the linear kinematic equations of motion, the equations of motion. The first equation is V is equal to U plus AT. Second one is S is equal to UT plus half AT square. Third equation is V square minus U square is equal to 2AS. Here V, final velocity, U is initial velocity, A is acceleration, S is distance, T is time. So, this is distance or displacement. These all are linear kinematic variables. These linear kinematic variables are replaced by angular kinematic variables, then it is called angular kinematic equations of motion. That is nothing but the rotational kinematics. Therefore, rotational kinematic equations of motion. If you see the first equation, v, final velocity, in place of final linear velocity, we should substitute the final angular velocity, that is nothing but omega, is equal to, in place of u, we should substitute initial angular velocity, nothing but omega naught, plus, in place of linear acceleration, we should substitute angular acceleration, nothing but alpha, but time is constant. So, omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t is the first rotational kinematic equation of motion. Second one, s is equal to ut plus half at square, where s is equal to distance or displacement travelled by the body in linear mode. But this s should be replaced by angular variables. That means s should be replaced by theta. Therefore, theta is equal to u. In place of u, we should write omega naught because it is initial angular velocity. In place of time, no change, plus half. In place of a, we should substitute alpha t square is replaced by t square. So, theta is equal to omega naught t plus half alpha t square is the second kinematic equations of motion in rotational dynamics. The third one is v square minus u square. So, in place of v, we should substitute omega square. In place of u square, we should substitute omega naught square, that is equal to 2 into. In place of a, we should substitute alpha. In place of s, we should substitute theta. Therefore, omega square minus omega naught square is equal to 2 alpha theta is the third rotational kinematic equations of motion. Now, we will go to the proof of these three equations of motion.